think we can win right here, actually, with Quandrix Charm. Welcome back to Grail Lab. Today we are going to be building a standard deck from Secrets of Strixhaven cards. So let's name this Quandrix. And let's choose a card sleeve. So I'm going to add 4 Quandrix Charm here. This is a counter target spell unless its controller pays 2 spell, costs 2. But it also can destroy a target enchantment, and it can also give one of your creatures a base power and toughness of 5/5 until end of turn. So if you need to put a creature on the defense or do a final blow of damage, this is really good. And let's start with some creatures from Strixhaven. So Harmonized Trio is really cool. Let's try 4 of those. It's a really good card draw. You can tap the untapped creatures to re-prepare this creature at the end step of your opponent's turn. So it's really nice. If you don't need to defend with any of them, you can use this to prepare Harmonized Trio and then cast Brainstorm on your turn for 1. And Brainstorm is draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So it's a really nice card draw. Flow State also is really nice. Flow State allows you to draw 1 card or 2 if you have a sorcery or instant in your graveyard. So it's basically a 2-card draw for 2. Essence Scatter is pretty cool. It's a 2-cost instant counter-target creature spell that can be really useful. Pensive Professor, this is really good. So whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on this creature, you draw a card. And it has increment and its power is 0. Anytime you put a counter on this creature, you can draw a card. Increment is whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana you spent is greater than this creature's power or toughness, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So likely you would be using the increment ability to draw cards with this creature. This creature is also really good. Tester of the Tangential. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay X colorless mana. When you do, move X +1/+1 counters from this creature onto another target creature. So this is really useful because it has increment. So if you cast a 2-cost spell, you can put a counter on it, and then at the beginning of combat, you can pay 1 to put that counter somewhere else. Let's put 1 Mana Sculpt in here. This is really cool, considering we just put a couple wizards into the deck. If you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless mana equal to the amount of mana spent to cast the spell that you countered with this counterspell. Add that mana at the beginning of your next main phase, so you can use it on your turn. So even if you counter something on the opponent's turn, on your next main phase, you add the mana and you can use it, which is really great, but it requires that you have a wizard out. Maybe this will be interesting. Sky Coach Conductor. We're going to be really focusing on disrupting the opponent here with the blue. The green is going to be really focused on doing the damage here. I think I'm going to put 2 Wild Growth Archaic in this deck. Wild Growth Archaic is really cool because it has Converge. This creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. But then it gives all of your other creatures the same ability. So whenever you cast the creature spell, that creature enters with X additional +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. And then this creature has Trample and Reach. So it's kind of perfect synergy for what we're going for here. I want to put 1 Germination Practicum in here, which is a sorcery that puts 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. But then it also has this ability, Paradigm. And Paradigm is when you cast the spell, You exile it as it resolves, and after you first resolve a spell with this name, you may cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your first main phases. So it's kind of expensive for 5, but then you get to do this every turn for free afterwards. This card is going to be a real good card for this deck. So Cuboid Colony, it's a insect creature with flash, flying, trample, and increment, and it's a 1/1. We're going to put 4 in there. This is going to be great because if we plan to counter something, we want to leave the mana up, and then we can cast this on the end of our opponent's turn if we didn't end up using the mana to counter one of their spells. And then, of course, it has flying and trample as well as increment. So if we use a card like this, for instance, Growth Curve, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control, and then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. If you've already incremented this once or twice, and then you cast Growth Curve on it, this creature is pretty dangerous. 5/5, flying, trample. Okay. Let's put 2 Fractal Tenders in there. It's not legendary. Costs 5. It's a little expensive. Has increment. Has ward 2. At the beginning of each end step, if you put a counter on this creature this turn, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put 3 +1/+1 counters on it. So this is really good with Growth Curve if you need to, or of course increment if you're casting something that has a mana cost of 4 or 5, because it must be greater than 3, considering this creature's power and toughness is 3/3. Let's exit out of Strixhaven for now. That's enough Strixhaven cards in here. And let's get Ouroboroid. 4 of these for sure. This can be a game ender, basically, as you probably know. So if you don't know, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. So if we want to cast this early game, maybe we already have the Wild Growth Archaic out, we cast this spell, even if we only use green mana, it's going to get an extra +1/+1 counter on it. And then it's going to give 2 counters to all of your creatures at the beginning of combat. If you cast blue and green, then it comes out with 2 +1/+1 counters already on it, and then it's going to give 3 +1/+1 counters onto all of your creatures. Not to mention all of the other +1/+1 counters that we are exchanging around with this deck. Let's also put 2 of these Hull Creepers in there, and we can very easily use this card to copy Ouroboroid, and then we have potentially 5 Ouroboroid available in this deck. Okay, we have 61 cards, and I think we don't really have the best counterspells, so I think I want to use 2 of these, and then I would like to use my favorite counterspell, Spell Snare. I think we can get rid of this, and I think we can bring this down to 2. I think we can remove this completely. There was one other creature. Actually, let's see. So we're focusing on +1/+1 counters here. We don't want to stray too far from that. Bristly Bill could be good. Really useful card. But for some reason, I don't think it fits. Alright, let's keep looking. There's one creature that I'm looking for. I forget their name. But when I see it, Oh no. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control, and then for 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 green, you can double the number of each kind of counter on up to 2 target creatures and or artifacts you control. Really powerful, especially with Cuboid Colony. I think we're going to get rid of one of these. I think one of those is going to be good enough. I think we should put 2 of these in case we need to go a little bit wider with creatures. And then let's put 2 of these. Let's put 2 of these. Actually, let's balance these. 6, 7, 8, and then 8. That looks good, and then we need 2 more cards. Let's go with 1 more of these and 1 more of these. Or no. We need more mana ramp, I think. Let's do 4 Llanowar Elves and get rid of 3 cards. I think we get rid of this one. 1 of these, and this is a tough choice. Maybe this card. Okay, so ideally we're going to draw one of these 2 cards in the opening hand, and then just kind of wait. Maybe we draw one of these and one of the counterspells, ideally. And then we just move our way towards safely casting a Cuboid Colony or Tester of the Tangential or Silent Hall Creeper, all while maintaining control of the board with our counterspells as best we can. And then just kind of drop these when we have the opportunity, and ramp into larger creatures that are just going to end the game. So let's give it a try. Decent draw, we've got mana ramp, we've got a counter. Let's keep it. Okay, perfect. They're playing Golgari. Okay. Not a huge deal. We can still make it work. Now you see we wait to cast Cuboid Colony. I think we can counter this one. Okay. Let's see, Chuck. What do you got? I think that's a decent draw. Toss that out first. And then we've got a good counter here, but should we waste the Quandrix charm so early? Could disrupt their early game, but then we could increment with Quandrix charm. So let's do that. Relatively non-threatening creature there, Tester of the Tangential. Then let's let's attack. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, well, 1 damage. Not bad, I'll take it. Nothing. He's got nothing. Okay, well, we will bring this creature out and decline that for now. No attacks. And let's see what he's got. Maybe Sheltered by Ghosts or Get Lost. What kind of removal do you have? No removal. Okay. But let's play it this way. Yeah, let's move one over. And we kill it, Johnny. Why not? Bit of overkill there. Maybe he's got a board wipe. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So we're still in a pretty good position here. I think we can win right here, actually, with Quandrix Charm. There it is. Okay, this looks like a pretty good draw. We've got some counters right away. And the Cuboid Colony, of course. Let's do this. Well, he had to see that coming. Let's do an island. Okay, and then we bring out this guy for 3. Actually, he's just as valuable being brought out for 2 as he is for 3. Him having 1/1/1 counter versus him having 2/1/1 counters is almost not different at all. Okay, we've got red. That means we might have some removal coming at us. Yep. Okay. Interesting choice. Do we have another one? Got it. No? Ah, okay. Okay. Well, let's... Is he going to remove Ouroboroid? Yes. But maybe just by airbending. So let's see. Chip away. It's going wide with rabbits, clearly. So that would be strange. Yeah, okay. Well, go ahead. Okay, let's see. Let's do... Keep the Spell Snare up. That's not bad. And then we put counters on those 2. And we have a decent blocker there. Although maybe there's another Sheltered by Ghosts. But we can counter it. What do you got? Yes, another Sheltered by Ghosts, I think. No, okay. Well, that'll do it. I'm gonna let that through. Yeah, let's bring this out first. And then... yeah. And then we... should we double the counters on this guy? Or just add one? Let's just add one. For now. Yeah. And then we don't attack. We've got blockers. Let's see what the plan is here. Okay. Not bad. I like that enchantment. What are they going to attack with, I wonder? Probably the Heir Apparent, yes. I think we kill it for sure. And then... yeah, we do that after, so 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got the flyer blocker now. And then... he's gonna lose his flyer. If he brings this Heir Apparent out, he's gonna lose his flyer because he's not gonna wanna bounce this one. But he's definitely going to want to bounce one of them. Or he is just not going to. Yes. Okay. So that's a clear choice, in my opinion. And then this one's got trample, so we can just remove their flyer here. And we'll see what happens next turn. No, we can win right here. Easy. Done. Good game. Simone. Look at that. For our last game. It's a good draw. No counterspells, but I think it's a pretty aggro draw. I'm going to keep it. Let's bring that out first. Nice. Okay, so we've got our counterspell here. Hopefully it can disrupt them. They also are counterspell. Maybe they are Azorius counter. Maybe they're in folk. Ah, they are not playing Merfolk. It was a good idea to save that counterspell. So yeah, let's do that. Then the counterspell can increment the Cuboid Colony. That'll be nice. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Oh! He's gonna allow the Ouroboroid to stay alive. This seems unintentional. Well. Good game. Quick one. Simone really came in handy that one game with the ability that she has to double the number of each kind of counter on up to 2 target creatures and or artifacts you control. We doubled Cuboid Colony, which has trample and flying. They blocked it. We won. We didn't end up using Germination Practicum, but it's a pretty good spell. I'm going to keep it there. Maybe I'll add a second Zimone later. We didn't see the Hull Creeper. It would be nice to see the Hull Creeper come out and copy the Ouroboroid or the Cuboid Colony. Or even the Fractal Tender. Copy the Wild Growth Archaic too. I didn't even think about that. But the star of the show, I think, is the Cuboid Colony, considering it is a flying, trample, flash with increment creature for 2. Really exceptional card. And of course, the star of the show, always, Ouroboroid. So, thank you for watching, and see you next time.